You know,
a lot of women will have been in charge.
Oh yes, the diversity crowd. That Tortuga was not just filled with prostitutes, but entrepreneurial pirate female heroines.
Oh yes, very much so. Yes, according to Black Sails, it was anyhow.
We are live, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Fake Accents Unite. The dulcet tones that you have just bore witness to happen to belong to the Britisher, who is here with us as always. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Those were the dulcet tones, of course, before you bellowed, "We are live," in that sort of heavily accented, sort of, Russian Ivan voice.
Look, it's put on, man. Like, if this is Russian, then, I'm the Queen of England.
Well, it is Fake Accents Unite.
Is this the YouTube equivalent of a pissing contest? Is who has the best voice contest?
Good.
Did you at least get my recent allusion when I put in the side chat? You're going crazy, Ivan. I mean, did you at least pick up the Hunt for Red October allusion or not?
A little bit, yes.
A little bit. Okay.
A little bit.
At least we hit that one on the head.
So as you may have heard, they're quite loud because I still had her massively boosted from the last time. We're also joined by Poe the Person this evening. Good evening.
Hi, I'm glad that I came in loud and clear. It's a good entrance to make. I hope nobody's eardrums will burst from that.
It should be good. And if they are, they're just the most committed listeners, avidly listening out and then being deafened by the boomer sound tech that we have available to us. And we're also joined by a new face. We're joined, or a lack thereof. We're joined by a chap called Current Commentator, who basically asked to come on the stream. Good evening.
Evening.
Nice to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Now this is, I have to say, as the title may suggest, the Corona-free stream edition. So unless it is avidly demanded by the chat...
It's only for Heineken, is it?
Exactly. Yes, or Desperados, dependent on your preference. Dependent on your preference. But yes, as we do not wish to basically muddy the waters with all of the depressing and irritating and rehashed coronavirus news, we shall try our absolute hardest to avoid it this evening. That is the hope, at the very least. I'm booming a bit. I shall calm down the what I have here. Hopefully, I'm a little bit less deafening this time. Thank you to everyone letting us know how we're going. Right. Where are we now?
Someone in the chat saying I'm too quiet. I don't know if you may have gone a bit too far in silencing the female voice in the.
Oh,
you sound healthy from where I'm listening.
I think it is likely because I am far too loud. I've just turned myself down by about 8 decibels in hopes that it's a little more bearable. Unfortunately, new microphone, bit pernickety. Apologies. There we go. Right.
Is this still the same microphone that truly makes you sound like your true self?
It is the true self.
Demon from the inner circles of hell.
It is the true self microphone, which is currently wrapped in packing tape because it's so pernickety. But yes, Suchgowan has chimed in to let us know that, of course, we are 212 seconds late. My fault entirely this week. Unlike usual, where Britisher has to make himself a cup of tea or put himself to bed or something along those lines. I was eating. I apologise to everyone for that.
This time I was happily talking about the TV series The Buccaneers while you were stuffing your face making cutlery noises.
It's stuffing my face? Yes, with vegan nosh, which I'm sure you'll hate. Just because it was left over from the other day. Yes.
It was my fault because I was sitting... waiting expectantly for a StreamYard link, thinking I was on Unpopular Opinions, but I forgot that you do your streams through Discord, and that I actually had to sign into Discord in order to participate.
I'm glad to hear I'm not the only person to whom that happens. As not so obvious will be able to confirm, there have been occasions when I have got a DM on Twitter saying, "Where are you?" And I was still sitting there waiting for the link.
Expectantly.
To realise, yes. Yes, I need to do something, don't I?
Oh, my little Twitter meerkats waiting for the StreamYard link. Unfortunately not.
I got
Now
myself
you're
all
thinking of
heated up
V
expecting
again,
to be on
then.
camera as well.
Apparently, according to the chat, I can make vegan nosh by the simple application of putting more bacon on top of it. I do.
Yes, but I don't understand. When did a dish that just didn't happen to contain any meat, when did that become sort of, vegetarian or vegan? I mean,
it's clear that a dish with no
Things
meat,
containing meat became the norm.
things containing meat are the norm, and therefore we have vegetarian stuff which is no meat, and vegan stuff which is no animal products whatsoever. So there is that. Oh dear.
No chicken periods.
so if you would have something like if you would have something like a muesli, that for you would be specifically vegetarian. It wouldn't be vegan because it still contained dairy, but it would be vegetarian. It wouldn't just be a muesli.
I mean, compared to bacon and eggs, yeah. Well, I just don't know what you mean. The very idea, Britisher. The very idea.
Well, no, I just find it funny how people will kind of emphasize that what they're eating did not contain any meat.
Oh, yes, well,
I ate something vegan just now. People
Well,
need to know I
look,
just ate vegan.
Look, you need to know directly because I desired this exact response from you. So it was just like
Yes, precisely. Yeah.
your unnecessarily vehement objection to the idea of products.
I'm still looking in the Discord at the picture you sent me some time ago, which is Stephen Fry dressed up as the Duke of Wellington, doing his impression in Blackadder, and that this is very much how I feel when people start talking about this vegan, vegetarian nonsense. As in, I fully understand some dishes just simply won't contain meat, and that's perfectly okay. I just don't understand why one then sort of, needs to sort of do this sort of virtue signaling subsection. By the way, world, I'm vegan. I'm eating this and it's vegan.
You're shouting at peas, Britisher! Peas!
I think it says something about the decline of British Army ration packs when the vegetarian English breakfast is one of the better meals.
Oh, definitely. I remember when we used to go out on exercise and you'd get your Rat Pack and you would get sausage roll for lunch, basically, as part of this thing, which was... it varied.
The gash bag sausage rolls.
The gash bag sausage rolls, which were approximately 9 to 11% unspecified meat. So, yeah. But they on the other
between pastry and the sausage.
No, and on the plus side, they did last for. I mean, we don't know if they have a sell by date, a use by date.
Yeah, right. Ration packs have gone down since.
But on the plus side, they will actually survive the nuclear holocaust.
Yes, but you can no longer. You certainly. That a lot of the meals, instead of having traditional English stews, they've replaced with curries, and the oil content has skyrocketed to the point that some meals, the oil content is the first or second ingredient on the list. And I'm normally quite tolerable of food and would just pick a Rat Pack at random, but it would get to the point where some meals I'd get a third of the way through and start retching, and then if I proceeded more than 2/3, I'd throw up and go, well, that exercise was pointless.
Dear. But
speaking I wish I was using World War I biscuits, because at least they stay in your system.
Are biscuit pinks or biscuit browns, though? That's the question.
All of the above.
Speaking of food, however, I thought we would kick the evening off with something light-hearted and enjoyable. The Britisher has been tweeting about his particular food choices. So, what did you have this evening? The king of stews, wasn't it?
I had coq au vin, yes.
Which is amazing, considering
Which is, of course, already a name that everybody enjoys, yes. But no, it is absolutely fabulous. And when it comes to this sort of weather, and particularly when people are terrified of viruses and whatever, and you want to get your strength up, that isn't a bad route to go. So you're kind of stuffing your face with chicken, bacon, shallots, mushrooms, and lots of burgundy red wine.
I was with you up until the mushrooms. Not a fan of those.
You're not a fan of mushrooms.
I'm not, but I am reading your tweet, and it says here that you had it with a bucket load of baby potatoes.
Yes.
Were they roasted? Were they boiled? Were they?
They were boiled.
Boiled, the worst kind. But also, when I see you. When I see you tweet
a stew with roasted potatoes, I'm not sure.
I don't know, anything with roasted potatoes is pretty good. Although I'm just imagining the bucket, right, and all I've got in my head is the Monty Python meaning of life sketch with what's his name, Mr. Creosote, where they continue.
That
could you fetch it?
I don't think I've ever been able to watch that all the way through. It actually makes me feel physically sick. It's that horrible.
Would you bring Monsieur Bucket? Monsieur's Bucket.
I had to describe that sketch to some people at work because there was a bunch of people my age, and someone was brought up the wafer thin mint line, but nobody could remember what it was from. Because it's kind of meme, isn't it? It's a kind of boomer meme. Everyone knows the wafer thin mint, and people often, when people are talking about something that's very thin, people often say it's wafer thin.
Wafer thin.
And, they were wondering whether this is right. They're going like, and weirdly, he says it with a French accent as well. I don't know why. And I was like, I had to describe to them what the sketch was about. And it's it didn't come off that well when I described it.
Explodes.
And he does explode, yes. It is only a wafer thin, and then it does that kind of dive roll over the table, and it ends with the anti-Semitic cleaner. If you've not watched the full scene, Britisher, have you at least seen the anti-Semitic cleaner at the end?
I can't say I have seen the anti-Semitic cleaner, more than likely because I never ever have got to the end of the sketch. I'm fully aware of the fact that he explodes, but it's kind of, with me, by that time, I'm sort of swallowing hard and sipping on a glass of water and trying to look the other way.
Oh dear. One of the other characters comes in and starts mopping up the mess after the explosion, and John Cleese is waxing lyrical about philosophy or something like that, and asks the cleaner for her, in inverted commas, views. And she just goes on, like, oh, I think it's not too bad, etc. But at least I don't work for Jews. And it's just like he picks up the bucket of sick and just pours it over the top of her. Oh dear! And then it moves on to the end of life, to the death sketch, which is also one of the best ones in the entire film, which I've always enjoyed.
It's the weakest, though, isn't it, of the Monty Python films? I mean, I'm not saying it's bad, but it's definitely not the strongest, is it?
Really? It's one of my favourites. I rate it better than the Life of Brian, but not as good as the Holy Grail.
Life of Brian's the best one.
No, I'm not a fan. Not a fan. I don't know. It's never resonated with me.
Every sperm is sacred.
Indeed.
Mum won't let me watch the film because of that sketch.
Had some of the highest production value.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's mental, the number of extras they got on, and a great commentary as well. There are some weak moments, like The Meaning of Life has weak moments, but I think it's also got some of the strongest moments because it's kind of sketch-related, if that makes sense.
They are all kind of sketch, really. I mean, I watched The Holy Grail again recently for the first time in about 10 years, and I was shocked by how little narrative is really holding this series of sketches together.
I swear they had absolutely no idea what they were doing when they went into it. They hadn't even finished the script.
I don't think they ever finished the script, if I'll be honest with you. No, the ending is sort of non-existent.
Oh, no, the reason for the ending was they blew their entire budget all the way through. And then they got to the end, they were like, we want to do this great charge towards the castle, and we can't do it. And the local police as well told them that you can only have X number of people because the site is prone to erosion. So they said, oh, do you mind coming down and filming a scene with us? And they basically wrote it in the morning that they get arrested by the police, and that's that. But of course, ties into all the whole surreality of the whole thing. Definitely.
Favorite sketch from that is definitely the holy hand grenade and thou shalt count to
Yes.
3 and no more than 3. 3 is the number to which thou shalt count.
Oh,
4 is one too many. 5 is right out.
Not to mention
Only
the
count to 2 if to proceed to 3.
not to mention, of course, the bridge with the old man with the questions and the weight. What is the weight of what is the average speed of an unladen swallow, or something to that effect?
And we could go on all night, couldn't we? Really?
Oh yes, good set of films. Are you particularly? I'm noticing you're being quite quiet, Britisher. Are you not a Python fan?
I like Python. I need to be in the mood for it. I think most of their films tend to be kind of almost like sketch based. So there are certain scenes, certain sketches which are very good, but a lot of it also tends to be quite clunky at times. When it comes to The Life of Brian, I think that is pretty much the only one they did which was sort of perfectly formed.
Fair enough. I'm being ganged up on here, but fair enough. Dear. We have a few I swear we started this conversation out by talking about cooking. We had the coq au vin. People were asking what wine you put in it, Britisher. If you're
Burgundy.
Yeah, but any particular variety of Burgundy?
It depends how incredibly posh you want to go. So I walk into Tesco and I pick up a bottle of red Burgundy. That already sets me back £9. If I start getting a bottle of Chateau Neuf, I don't know what, yes, then the budget goes out the window. So I will just head for the red Burgundy at Tesco's, because that's just about the cheapest I can get.
I mean, what more can we
always remember, it is for cooking.
Mm-hmm. And what more can we expect from the teetotaler himself as well?
Indeed, yes. As I was saying on Twitter, with other stews and whatever, if I chuck some wine in, I tend to go for a sort of £4 bottle of Chilean Merlot. So and that will last me quite a while, because obviously you don't throw the entire bottle into the stew. So you can sort of see, when it comes to cooking, you still try and think somewhat economical.
What are you going to say there, Poe?
I was just going to say that I'm also of the opinion that wine or any alcohol that you cook with does not have to be of very high quality, because the nuances would just be lost in the dish.
Yeah.
But I think some people are not of that opinion, thinking that every ingredient must be good, and I can kind of sympathize with that. Like, you can't really make a good dish without serviceable ingredients. But wine, I kind of think, once you boil off a lot of the alcohol, it takes off the edge of the kind of taste of it, and it all gets kind of mixed into one.
Price difference between a good bottle of wine, a cheap bottle of wine, versus a good carrot or good onions and other such ingredients.
Does anyone want to respond to that? Apparently not.
Well, someone in the car does.
I have no idea what's going on, but it is across the road through 2 closed windows that noise is coming through. I do apologise to any.
Someone's trying to pick you up, Mark.
Yeah, being flirted with by the workmen.
Netball team.
It's actually not a car; it's a bus. It's the ladies' netball team.
As you always maintain, my sexual prowess with the Ladies Netball Association must be reaching record heights at this point, if I'm bussing in a new team every week, Britisher. You
are fairly young, so
and there are a lot of netball teams, apparently. The new IKB says African or European. I presume I don't know that, and jump off the bridge. So
In our present climate of censorship of jokes and such like, apparently in Life of Brian, the only sort of sketch scene bit where they decided to remove it was where they had basically a Nazi Jew, was how they described it, a
What?
Jewish supremacist. They thought it was a bit too on the nose and close to atrocities and living memories. They got rid of it.
Don't mention the war, sort of thing. Yes. I can imagine it causing issues and potentially an £800 fine.
So given that we've been talking about food, so given that coq au vin is definitely one of my favourites, so where would you be situated there? Not so obvious. I mean, if you sort of needed to sort of, you're ready for the gallows and you can have that one last meal, what would it be?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot here. It's really tough, but I would say at the moment, given my current food preferences, like a really good chili con carne. Sort of, I appreciate it's not the most inventive of dishes. I'm not going above and beyond here, but there's something about a properly tasty chili with the right distribution of kidney beans in it, with the just the right level of spice and really fluffy rice. That does it for me, definitely.
Well, at least you didn't go chip butty. I mean, so we'll grant you at least that much sophistication.
Now the real question is,
although of course, although it's clearly obvious that your answer was wrong, but other than that, no, it's at least it wasn't the chip butty.
Mm-hmm. No, not a chip butty, not McDonald's, not any of, not tomato pasta or any such student fare. No, but the real question is, like, I presume that do you eat chili, Britisher, at all?
I have been known to eat chili con carne
on occasion.
Yes.
Now, the question: do you grate cheese on top of yours?
No. Oh, for heaven's sake, no.
Oh, thank God! Yes, that is the correct answer. To it's
Your sour cream is very nice, though.
Yes, nice dollop of sour cream, but not grated cheese. Although I don't particularly bemoan anyone who has grated cheese on their chili. They're just wrong. It's as simple as that.
Well, so are those people who put sour cream on it. But I mean, those people who grate cheese on it are more wrong. Those people who grate who grate cheese on it are more wrong than those people who would put sour cream on it. I think that much we can agree with.
Are you saying grate sour cream? That would
yes,
be the ultimate taboo.
That would be the ultimate sin if you started grating sour cream on it. Yes.
How would that even work? There's some boutique restaurant somewhere in America where they found a way to grate sour cream.
Look, we are living in a world right now in which Sarah Palin is rapping about liking big butts.
Yeah.
And Arnold Schwarzenegger is hugging a miniature pony and a miniature donkey in his own kitchen.
And talking
about vegan food.
Yeah, and self-isolation.
So, in that regard, grating sour cream, there isn't anything really that outrageous about that idea anymore.
And we had
cream.
Sorry?
Cream.
What?
Grated.
How would you grate cream?
Grated cream. I think
that's what you're
more
saying.
to the point. If you grate sour cream, are the gratings of the sour cream wafer thin?
Oh God! You can't make that joke, Britisher. You can't even get through. That scene. Just it's not the same. I'm gonna put.
But I still managed to get everybody to roll their eyes at that lame pun.
In fairness,
so I achieved my goal. Before you started raising your objections about whether I could watch that sketch or not.
Yes, you're banned from what? I didn't ban you from watching the sketch. I said you need to bloody well watch the sketch and grow up. I'm trying to find like this image here that is going to burn into people's retinas on.
While you're looking for it, I looked up the IMDb ratings for the 3 Python movies, and the Holy Grail is 8. I think it was 8.2.
Yeah.
The Life of Brian is 8.1, and the Meaning of Life is 7.6. All out of 10, by the way.
Clearly, the people who rated the Meaning of Life believed they were rating it out of 7.6.
Well, yeah, it's IMDb obviously is not definitive. It's just it's not a bad metric to go by, though.
Look, if
it's always interesting when there's a large disparity between audiences and critics on IMDb. Oh no, that's Rotten Tomatoes, isn't it?
Yeah, but if film critics have taught me anything, it's that if I oppose the mainstream view, then I'm fit to be a film critic. Those of you who are watching the stream will have noted, no doubt, the travesty of an image which I'm just about to put in stream chat for you, which is something that the British alluded to none too discreetly a moment ago. This is the performance of Sarah Palin on
former vice presidential running mate Sarah Palin.
That's right. On some sort of show, she sang "Baby Got Back" and twerked or something on a stream on screen in a full body fursuit. The Masked Singer under the guise of the bear, apparently. From leader of the Tea Party movement, or one of the faces thereof, governor of Alaska, VP elect, effectively, to dressing up in a pink bear costume and dancing for money on a stage. Who could have seen it coming, eh?
Then again, don't write it off.
So is this for
Who was it?
the singing competition thing where they have a mask?
Yeah, the Masked
They
Singer.
wear a silly outfit that you can't see who it is, and they sing, and then a panel of judges have to guess who it is, or something.
Palin went on to make a statement, you see, about this show, and said, "To not be able to see much of anything out of this costume is really nice. It takes the sharp edges off the world. Everything looks a little softer, nicer. I needed this." And all I've got in my head is her just going, "I like big butts, I cannot lie." Like, what's going on? What's going on?
Well, always remember that, Nadine Dorries has at present, she's the health minister who has present got a virus we don't mention.
Right, yes.
Some time ago, of course, she got herself in hot water. Because this is one of the reasons why I'm astonished she ever made it to health minister. Because she decided, in the middle of Parliament and whatever, to go off to Australia to partake in I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, while she was an MP.
Oh, yes.
She didn't tell the Tory party, she didn't tell her local constituency party, nobody knew.
Yes, I remember.
Of course, then she kind of, being a politician, she palavered it all over as in, oh, well, you see, I was trying to reach a new audience. I was trying this. We have to bring politics to the people, blah-de-blah-de-blah. No, you wanted your 15 minutes of fame on television. Yes. That's what you wanted.
And you wanted to eat insects, and everyone would make you.
So when you see Sarah Palin singing about liking big butts, always remember what it did for Nadine Dorries. So, there may be madness in, there may be method in madness here.
She did it to get the plague?
Which was the Tory MP who did that diving contest one as well? Is that the same person?
George Galloway. I was just
at one point.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that. Just a second.
Each of us.
Oh, dear.
I think we've lost current.
We appear to be having connection issues. And yeah. So, Poe, you were saying?
I was just looking up exactly what Current was saying, which is the Tory MP who went on Celebrity Big Brother in what year is it? I can't find it now, but it appears to be George Galloway. I seem to remember.
But George
Was it Tory
Galloway
MP?
was a Labour Party.
Was it? Sorry, I was just going off what Current said.
No, I was
Yeah,
saying there was
one who
a
was on-
diving competition.
A what competition?
A diving competition.
Diving,
Hmm.
yes.
I'm not
In a
familiar.
swimsuit.
Yeah, I don't remember any of that.
She
Sounds
became
awful.
defence minister, and then Boris got rid of her.
Sounds much more dignified than the Celebrity Big Brother appearance, which I seem to remember was very humiliating.
Yeah, I don't know anything about
Mordaunt, that's
Penny Mordaunt. Okay, let's have a look. See, yeah, I don't know. It's not even mentioned on her Wikipedia
just
or
a
anything.
diving MP. It comes up.
I see. Anyway. Sarah Palin in a fursuit is the surreal horror of 2020. I have to agree with the title of this article. And we shall move on from one branch of American politics to another. So we have, what's this here? Biden versus Sanders. So the big thing that has been going on with this, that I've seen in the past sort of 24 hours or so, has to be like The Guardian basically attacking Biden for not being clear enough that he was going to have a female VP, and Biden capitalizing on this and going, well, I'm going to name a woman as my running mate, which is apparently fired speculation. What do we make of all this?
Well, I mean,
Might
who
be a
knows?
way to get Tulsi out of the race, even though she's not a threat. She's still in there, just going, please listen to me, let me on the debate, I'm not giving up.
I mean, who
Shush.
knows? Perhaps he likes big butts too.
Imagine
Annie
if
lie.
Biden's like, I like the cut of her jib, and gets Sarah Palin in. Oh, good grief. It's amazing that it's fascinating, the virtue signaling tokenism that I'm seeing here. It's like during the debate with Bernie Sanders that he had on Washington, Biden said he would not only name a woman as his running mate, he would also put an African American woman on the Supreme Court. And it just kind of feels like they're kind of fumbling the same promises, but it's like, but I'll add a Hispanic to this council. Yeah, well, I'm going to add an Asian to this one. It's like,
But what?
Well, I mean,
There
that's
fears
part
at one
is-
point that someone would have Hillary Clinton as their running mate and then would die in office, making Hillary Clinton the de facto president for a bit.
oh, that's also possible, indeed.
She kept... For a while, she seemed to be making maneuvers to run and was always leaving it ambiguous whether she would or not.
You think this is the master plan?
Fundraisers and the such like.
You think that's it's a master plan then? She's been pulling the strings of Biden from the start, and that people are actually voting Biden because they know Hillary will get in there, and then she'll suicide him, and take control of the nation.
Well, we can't. We could never rule such a thing out. I mean, not with the suiciding thing, but what I mean is with the fact that the Clintons still will have a great deal of control over the Democrat Party. But as such, I've got the feeling that it's somehow moved too far away from her now. Once she kind of finally indicated that she wasn't doing it, given that she's given sort of show no inclination to be interested in this race and has instead been doing book tours. I don't know. It doesn't feel as if she's in it anymore. And I was one who was for some considerable time still saying don't rule this woman out, she might still come into it, because she was constantly toying with not wanting to say whether she was going to run or not. Once she actually said it, and I'm not sure, I think it does seem to kind of mean, okay, look, this is over.
Mm.
Well, hasn't what's his face? The ex-Republican mayor of New York that was funding half the Democratic Party. Might he have bought out her influence?
Let me see. I'm
Bloomberg,
reminded.
that's
Yeah, Bloomberg. Although I think that he sank, what was it, $1 billion into the race?
$500 million in his own campaign, and he also did lots of just general-wide Democratic and DNC funding.
Which, of course, we all remember MSNBC telling us that they could have given every person in the United States of America $1 million from how much he spent.
It's like,
How many people did that get through?
oh dear, how many editors went, yep, that sounds about right. You know, like.
Or do you think the editors behind the scene went, you know what, if we put this up, I wonder if the presenters will notice?
Good grief! I mean, I'm just trying to work out. It's like if he spent $1 billion, and it's an American billion, as opposed to a British billion, then obviously dividing by about. I mean, it's not that much, is it? It's like there's
$1,000.
Like £1.50.
Yeah, it's about $4 each.
Sorry. Can I ask something completely innocent here? What's the difference between an American and a British billion?
Are you
British billion is a trillion.
a British billion is a million. So
That's stupid.
It's not stupid. It's like,
Just
it follows the same rules as all the other numbers before it.
No, look, it goes up in threes. 1,000, a million, and it goes same way downwards. You get a millimeter, a micrometer, and a nanometer. They all go up by 3 zeros.
Then it's pico.
So you got to go up by 3 each time.
Nonsense.
Well, you see, I have heard on the
think
continent
the
they
trillion are in the wrong
use in the continent they use it the way you're suggesting, but there they have got intermediaries. So you've got a milliard.
Yes, a milliard. A milliard
Yes.
is...
But I've never heard that
Bulgarian
used.
influence.
I've never heard that used here. So I've only ever heard the American billion used in the way
that I describe.
Yes.
Well, you're just uneducated, aren't you, Patricia? You're just showing the cracks in your age. Where were you? Jerry poncing about at age 20, not learning about milliards and British millions, doing something with the Romans.
I was learning about, milliard in billion and whatever, but not. I was not aware that there was any use of that within the Anglosphere. It
is a very obscure, and it's not actually used nowadays. But I do remember it being part of my education once upon a time. Yes, that's, as the Jedster in chat says, that's number wang. Yes, just throwing numbers.
Because under the British naming system, it makes trillion. I think isn't it the power of 3 times 3?
What? I have no idea.
I'm losing the will to live.
Let's move swiftly on. Basically, Bloomberg spent a lot of money, and really it was not as much as some people who are the Diane Abbotts of the Americosphere would like to believe. So there's that. But yes, I do like the idea, as put forward, that I want Bernie and Biden to be like, I take your woman and I raise her 2 Latinos. And it'll keep going like that until eventually the entirety of Congress will have to be minority American and that sort of thing. But yes, anything more to say on...
I will hire an entire cabinet that is mentally disabled.
It's like, you ableist bastards.
The Tories do seem to have a knack of sticking dyslexics in high positions.
You are cutting out quite a bit, I'm afraid, Current. You'll have to repeat yourself.
The Tories have a knack for having dyslexics in high positions.
Tories have a knack for selecting what in high positions?
Dyslexics.
Oh, dyslexics.
Yes.
Yeah, I see.
Sorry, I've been consuming a bit of whiskey.
I don't think it's the whiskey. Perhaps check your microphone because you seem to be disappearing quite a lot.
Mm.
Oh, okay. I'm hand holding a little tiny mini one. It might just be positioning.
Hopefully,
Fiddle with the settings.
Hopefully, it's clear. I'm just going to run through.
Certainly, the health minister and the party chairman, dyslexic,
I see.
and possibly one or two others.
Mm. It's amazing, but I wonder what the disparity is between having a few dyslexics of kind of middling tier in the Tory party versus the queen of the dyslexics and the dyspraxics in the form of Diane Abbott in the Labour Party. I mean, surely
she's just incompetent.
Just trumps everything, literally. I'm going to just run through a couple of super chats. So Craig H says, "Beep beep." Thank you very much, man. Take it that's a reference to the car. Sudsgoen says, "Congratulations, whatever that is," referring to Sarah Palin in a fursuit, "justifies the plague." And again, Sudsgoen, "Britisher, I am disappointed in the extreme." I believe he qualified this by saying that he still uses the long form billion in Danish. So there we go. It just
Well, yes, but that's continental. As I say, on the continent they have million, milliard, billion, billiard, and so on. So yes, on the continent that's perfectly regular. Yes, but within the Anglosphere, it tends to go from million to billion to trillion. Yes.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it appears to be. I'm pretty sure it's something that we've appropriated from our American cousins and not the other way around. So there we are. But moving on from American politics, because I don't think there's actually that much interesting to say about Biden and
well, it was
Bernie
rather funny to see Biden do his town hall meeting, which was online. I think it was possibly virus related, but he was there talking on camera, but to his mobile phone. So I think the questions were coming through his mobile phone. But Twitter afterwards was full of people saying, the guy is just past it. I'm sorry, but you even had some folks saying, "Look, I don't like Bernie. I would be a Biden supporter, but folks, no." And there was one moment that particularly sort of amused me. Of the sort of, I didn't see the whole thing; I just saw snippets. But there was one on which he seemed to kind of wander off camera. He was kind of talking to the mobile phone and seemed to kind of meandering about a bit. And eventually he was kind of positioned at a right angle to the camera, facing the wrong way, slightly off shot. And they then had to bring the Biden poster down, as in vote Biden, because they kind of didn't know what else to do before they eventually managed to persuade him to face the right direction again.
Oh dear. Yeah.
But any media appearance Biden has done where he has not made some form of gaffe.
I think he has a long history of gaffes. So
yes,
even
but
when he was actually perfectly lucid, he was making lots of gaffes.
Yes, but surely it gets to the point where it becomes beyond endearing, right?
Yes, yeah. I'd say the way I think one will try to sell it, because I think he will get the nomination.
Yeah.
Because I think the Democrats are too worried at what a Sanders nomination would do to them, given what's just happened here with Corbyn.
I mean, if you look at their own voting intention amongst Democrat voters, then I appreciate it's a small sample. I think it was only about 700, but they don't actually like socialism that much. Like people who are deliberately they would attach the label to themselves even less than Republican voters. So they're kind of there's no way that Biden's actually going to swing it. Bernie is even. Sorry.
I think what they're going to do is they're going to try and sell it the way that George W. Bush was sold and the way originally Ronald Reagan was sold. And that is, you're voting in the figurehead. What we're going to do is we are going to provide you with a solid, competent team around the candidate. So that's how one sold the actor Ronald Reagan to the nation.
What you're saying is a wet center with a crusty, solid outside. Is that what you're saying, Brisha?
I'm not quite sure what reference you're trying to make there.
I'm not making a reference at all. I'm merely whatever you want as the most disgusting object you can think of with that description. Please feel free.
No, I mean that's the way one did manage to sell Ronald Reagan. That politically that was a successful formula. One then managed it again with George W. Bush, which was even more extraordinary. So the people like Donald Rumsfeld and Dick Cheney were kind of held up as the sort of old, reliable hands who will be able to kind of steer the nation, and George W. will just be the figurehead there. And I could well imagine that one will try and sell Biden in a similar way. Okay, he's perhaps a bit fuddy-duddy, but it's more the Democrat team you're electing in rather than just him. Because I think,
so you're saying
they will know that this is a weakness of this candidate.
So what you're effectively saying is it's not even necessarily a fight between Biden and Sanders, as much as it is a fight between the American equivalent of momentum and the Democrat Party kind of standard.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, very much. Because I think they come off it. Everybody who's followed politics on either side of the Atlantic knows that the two sides shadow each other. So if you've just seen Corbyn, who did rather well last time round, come completely unstuck and be totally destroyed in an election, and then you look at Sanders, who did rather well last time, and is sounding and being identified very much like Corbyn, then the writing's on the wall. And I think the Democrat Party will more than likely think that they are on safer territory with, let's face it, a senile old man than they are with Bernie Sanders.
It's really a damning indictment, isn't it? You got beaten by a senile old man.
Well, I mean, how do you I think the fact that they're going to be beaten is beyond question anyway.
Yes.
I mean, I think there is now, some people are hoping that the virus with no name will kind of throw it all off track. But I still don't see it. I still don't see it happening. These are weak candidates who are basically being put up because the Democrats need to put someone up at a time when I think they just know they can't win. But who is going to do more damage? Because it's not the presidency. That's not what they're fighting for. They know they've lost the presidency.
They're fighting
Trump is going to win it.
Who retains the Democrat Party?
Yes, when it comes, well, not so much the Democrat, but when it comes to the Senate seats and the representative seats, it could be a bloodbath. They can't afford to be in the situation Labour is in, where they basically come home with the result of, oh darn, the worst result in pretty much the last 100 years. Oopsie. So they will try and avoid that as best they can. And I think they believe with Sanders, they are more likely to go that way rather than if they kind of put up some kind of doddery old man and kind of try and sell him as, oh, well, you're not voting for him, you're voting for the team.
Right. Do let us know in chat, any Americans amongst us, whether you feel this summation is relatively accurate. What are you saying, Current?
I was just thinking, if Biden is to the Democratic Party just like our only hope, the anti-Bernie, the non-communist still in the race that beat Trump, why have they this whole time had this massive hatred of Tulsi?
Because
they're and trying to put as many roadblocks in the way seems to have just kept her in the race, getting nowhere.
Maybe the whole of the Democrat Party is really racist against Hawaii. I don't know. I can't say for certain.
It just seems very odd. This how the Democrats have this massive primary with a relatively low barrier to actually enter, but then the whole time seem to just keep changing the standard to try and keep a few candidates and control the outcome.
I think it's likely that
They'd be far better off having a Tory idea of the inner party picks 2 candidates than the membership.
I mean, I don't think... I mean, both Biden and Bernie have been around for many, many years. I don't think Tulsi is of the kind of Democrat intelligentsia. She's not as a mess as in chat. She's not corporate enough. Not corporate Democrat. And she hasn't kind of fought her way up through the backstabbing and of their general politics game. So
that's what I was going to say.
Too friendly to Republicans.
Object of Hate mentioned she knocked out Kamala Harris as well, and they aren't forgiving her for that. So there's that.
I think party politics, I don't know if it's the same here, but it seems like in America there's a lot of money going on within the party and who various financial backers like and don't like, and there's a lot of really creepy sausage making going on that we never even get to see about who, within the party, the Democrats and the Republicans. There's a lot going on about who sucks up to who and doing favors and just a lot of really creepy stuff that has nothing to do with what the public actually wants.
A lot of quid pro quo, one would suggest, yeah.
But it's one thing to have...
Go on.
It's one thing to have shady money pushing things in one direction. It's another thing to overtly change the rules every time certain candidates meet the threshold.
I don't know.
There's all that too, of course.
Right, let's move on from the American side of things. We're nearly an hour in now, and I'd like to come on to a more delightful topic, which is something which you linked to me earlier, Britisher. Another MP calling for a crackdown on homophobia in football. Apparently, it's too intolerant of the gays. So it says, Julian Knight, the appointed chairman of Digital Culture, Media and Sport Select Committee, because, it reminds me of the Westminster, just that kind of title by itself. It's like, oh, well, we can make you the digital committee minister. And then in order to keep him on side through various different changes, he becomes the digital and culture minister. And then the digital culture and media minister. And then finally, the Digital Culture, Media and Sport Select Committee Minister. But yes.
Rubbish minister, let's face it.
But it's things like, it's pushing, there's apparently an act called the Football Offences Act, 91. Which is basically about indecent chanting, the throwing of missiles, and entering the playing area, right? You're not allowed to do any of those things. But they want to expand it to specifically outlaw homophobia in and of itself, even though surely this is already covered by the idea of indecent chants and whatnot. And then, of course, there's the fact that usual harassment law, it's like the upskirting bill, which the Britisher, I can see already, is rolling his eyes at the very mention of, which just is like an expansion of a law for no good reason when it's already covered by existing law. Does that make sense?
Yeah, completely.
Yes.
Thoughts, Britisher, on this particular... It's your game, after all, your favourite pastime to behold it. Have we lost the Britisher? I suspect we have.
Talking about football or upskirting?
Have we... am I still here? Is the Britisher still here? Are we still here?
I can hear you.
Marvellous, right. So we appear to have lost the Britisher for the time being, but yes. So, but of course, the reason why homophobia is rampant in football is not because of the indecent chanting, homophobic people running onto the pitch and assaulting gay players and that sort of thing. No, it is once again a measure of outcome. The lack of openly gay players in the upper levels of the sport is proof that it is intolerant of gay people. Not that these people have a right to private life, that they are actually not that bothered, or that they're just not gay. Given that apparently, so the Premier League is about 700 players. Now, if gay people represented in about the right percentages, that would be about 21 players, right? Assuming none of them are trans, of course. So it's like, how many openly gay players do you have? And because it doesn't ever specify it. It's just one of those things where apparently racist or homophobic acts do it. I imagine a lot of it is not to do with homophobia, but a lot to do with branding. So if you are a player, you're effectively a commodity. You're traded around between the clubs. You're expected to bring in money in terms of merchandise and ticket sales and all that sort of thing. And so if you suddenly take yourself off the market, or for women, and you put yourself on the market for men, then you're going to have a problem regards people who want to wear your shirt, who are kind of more like working class lads who actually, don't actually care that, it's like they don't actually really care that you're gay, but if they had the chance, it's something that someone's going to needle them about, and there are plenty of good players out there, then they're just, it's a less profitable move, as it were. I feel like that is. And that's nothing to do with people hating gays. It's just a lack of preference. It's not generalizable. A commodity has to be sellable to the largest demographic possible, especially in football, where, of course, like the money is king, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Everything you said is accurate, I think, but I think we can't ignore, and maybe I don't want to be the one to say this, but let's just say that personality types are not homogenous among the sexualities, right? The types of people who become footballers is a certain kind of personality, a certain kind of person. It's not that all footballers. The personalities of footballers do not match the kind of personalities of the general male public, right? There's not a lot of gamers, not a lot of bookish types. It's just it's a certain kind of person, isn't it? And I'm not going to say any more than that, but come on.
We're apparently getting a bot attack in chat at the moment. Coronavirus bots.
You want to help with the older?
Are spamming
buy toilet paper.
Many buy toilet paper messages. Good grief! Well done to the moderators for getting rid of that. Sorry, what were you saying there, Poe? You agreed with what I said and said something else. What was that?
I'm just saying lots of very politically incorrect things about the kind of people who are footballers and the kind of people who are gay in general. Of course, not every gay person is a certain personality type, but there's a certain kind of person who becomes a footballer, and it's not the kind of person that you would expect to be gay. And
and like you say, the rugby scrum.
Yeah,
if there are gay footballers, if I were a gay footballer, I would keep it quiet. Let's just leave it there.
Yeah. Right. I'm just going to disconnect the Britisher manually, and hopefully he can get back in. Discord appears to be having issues in general.
If you're going to have a sort of athletic ball sport gay player, especially being a forward in rugby is probably far more attractive, given where it's the practice to put your hands in a scrum. If you're second row.
I see. I don't know. I'm not that familiar with rugby, unfortunately. Apparently, I can't even disconnect British. There must be issues with Discord. Apparently, it's...
When everyone got to a certain size and shape, it became standard practice instead of to put your arm around the side of the props, for you to stick your arm between your legs and grab at the front of their shorts.
Grief. Yeah, happy for the gay people there. You know, they're happy. Right, J.K. Rowling has taught us that secretly everyone is gay, says Squire of Gothos, which is a good point. Whilst we wait for the British and Discord to sort itself out, unfortunately, Discord appears to have targeted the British specifically, I presume due to his advanced boomerism. We shall have to wait and see what happens there. Since Gowan has said that Denmark is not part of Europe, I have been told, thanks, regarding British's comment on the continent's use of milliards, billions, and billiards. Kelbian Moonwing says, I have DM'd thou a good and interesting thing on Twitter. It's astonishing. We are reliving the reign of Henry VIII. Let me just take a look at that.
Yes,
He says, can you read this?
Mr. Starkey, by any chance?
What?
No, just the person who made that comment. I'm just wondering, have they been watching too much David Starkey? Or enough David Starkey?
I have no idea. He may well have. But he's written something which is requested that I read out, so I'll do my best. He says, our first Brexit, and that which secured for our nation sovereignty, extract from the Act in Restraint of Appeals to Rome 1533, by divers sundry old authentic histories and chronicles, it is manifestly declared and expressed that this realm of England is an empire, without restraint or provocation to any foreign princes or potentates of the world. This was our first Brexit from Europe by breaking with the Roman Church. Yes, thank you, Invidious, or Moonwing, or however you're going. You seem to change your name every week. But, yep, I appreciate the callback. See how history can be cyclical. Drunk Shovel says, Biden's stream was a soup sandwich at best. Ugh. This just sounds... You can sound grim if you can imagine how little and how thinly the soup would be spread over the bread in order to create a soup sandwich. But there we are. Yes, Rome, only 1 hour into the stream, I know, Craig. Right. Where is things? Let's see what the British is doing. We still...
I was going to plug the video that we made together, Mark, when you came around my house and had a good time eating pizza and playing video games with myself and my husband. I interviewed you, and it's up on my channel. You may need to turn the sound up or wear headphones while watching it because because of my oversight. But it's a good video. I'm happy with it. So
yeah, I enjoyed it.
If you want something comfy to watch.
At the risk of tooting my own horn, if you're interested in finding out a bit more about my history and a little bit about 1990 babies and how we, the kind of common experiences that me and Poe have had, then please feel free to check out that interview. I believe it's called The Poe Rogan Experience, #1.
Yes.
So there's that. Okay, so unfortunately we can't get to the British's comment on this particular article, but we can move on to the next article and hope that at some point he can rejoin us, because at the moment Discord is so broken I can't even disconnect his deadened account at the moment, unfortunately.
Mark, I'm looking at the chat. I think you need to make a few more wrenches.
Are we getting a bit... Is it getting a bit... Oh, for goodness sake. No, some of them are hidden on the channel anyway, if they are... only wrenches can see them. But yes, if we could get rid of the issues there, please.
Am I a wrench already? I don't think I am.
I'm not sure.
There's a new bot.
Oh dear. Some of them are hidden on the channel. There are many that are going on here. Unfortunately, so many bots. Irritating. On the other hand, my obviously my chat rate is through the roof at the moment. Good grief.
You're doing great.
Yeah, dear. Apologies to everyone in the chat who's having to deal with these bots doing what they are doing. But yes, our next story of the evening is before we round out with a more positive one. So Discord have just messaged us saying our team is aware of connection issues. We're working on it, etc. Unfortunately, nothing much more we can do but wait at that point. So there was a Westminster knife man who was shot dead by police He was named Hassan Yahya. What a surprise! What a quintessentially British name that we have there. He carried 2 knives and was said to be acting suspiciously before he died on Sunday night. He ran over Hungerford Bridge into Northumberland Avenue, and 3 tasers were fired into him, and then he was shot by City of London police. Police have said the incident was not terror-related, apparently. Who knows? Maybe he was just on his way to his next female genital mutilation session. In a statement, the IOPC said its investigators have obtained accounts from officers on scene, gained CCTV and body-worn video footage, and his next of kin has been informed, yes. Any thoughts on the increasing knife crime epidemic, especially given that Sadiq Khan has effectively been given free rein for another year, seeing as due to a certain medical emergency, they've delayed all of the London mayoral elections.
I was just going to ask.
Islamist on my course.
There's an
I'm studying aerospace engineering, and there is, interestingly, an Islamist course. And to quote him on such issues of criminality amongst the minority, you should away with it. Otherwise, of course, it's going to grow. Strange
okay.
ideas where idealistically he would agree with this chap, but
Well, we don't know much about him other than what we're presuming at the moment from this stuff. Please do take it with a pinch of salt. What were you trying to say there, Poe, at the beginning?
I was just going to ask. I haven't been to London for a while, and I just wonder if the police in London typically carry guns now, because the place where I live, and as far as I know for my whole life, have very rarely carried guns, except I've seen it at the airport once. I just don't know how quickly can a policeman with a gun get to a situation like that. Or is that typical?
So there are armed police units in certain areas of central London all the time, but other than that, there's an armed police unit on standby at all times. So if they get called to such an incident, then they're usually there, kind of waiting in the wings, and they can get there as quickly as anyone can drive there in London, really. One of the advantages, I guess, of living in a city where terrorism is just a cost of living in the country.
I think they should put the armed policemen on horseback. That would be cool.
We should give them maces instead of actual firearms.
Police.
It's like when what you're gonna fear more, the guy who's gonna do a quick and clean kill, or the guy with a spiked ball on a flail, sort of swinging it as he comes past and knock your head in. But I don't think so. Yeah. So DRT is King says painting some Emperor's Children Terminators. Not sure what that's in reference to, but thank you very much for the $2. If you want to elucidate us that in chat, then please feel free. If I'm missing a reference,
Mr. Poe is telling me what it means. If you want a translation.
Oh, go on. Yes.
Warhammer 40k figure miniature that he's painting.
Ah, I see.
Board game. Tabletop game.
Of course, yeah, of course. I should have clicked with that. I hope you're enjoying that. I didn't know if it was relevant in particular to anything that we were saying, other than just like you're sitting there, you got like some terrorism offence, even though it's not terror related, some kind of motivated attack that's gone on in London, and you're just like, I'm so angry. I will paint these angrier figurines so that they move on. Hope that goes well for you, man. Let's see what we have here. Matthew Ivy says, hello from the Bay Area. I've just got word that they're locking down 6 of the Bay Area districts, of which the stores I manage operate in. Fortunately, my company has already stated they will be paying us our hours. Yeah, we're quite fortunate in the UK, because we've got like a guaranteed kind of statutory sick pay thing going on at the moment, where I believe small and medium businesses are allowed to claim back a proportion of the sick pay that they're paying out due to coronavirus. But it seems like America is going particularly nutty with regards to corona, in terms of both what I've seen of the panic buying and also some of the extrapolated estimations of how many people are infected. I know I saw something about an Iowa governor or something like that claiming that they potentially had 100,000 cases or something like that. Seemed a bit up in the air, really, where that figure came from to me. But if anyone has any more information, I'm happy to listen to it. Not that this is a coronavirus stream, and we're definitely not talking about the coronavirus. But yes.
I already mentioned it once, but I think I got away with it.
Yes. Apparently, I have to Google Democratic Party right now. I can't see anything happening right now, effectively. No in-person voting is going to take place, but that's the only thing that I can see in the last hour or so. So
Yay, more fuck-ups by app.
Joy. It's not like it's those Russian bots, after all, who'll be hacking in and ensuring that the wrong person wins the Democratic primary, or some other mastermind, or whatever else it is that they're going to moan about.
You know how the Democratic Party symbols are normally donkey?
Yes.
Democratic Party, and Google has come up with Democrats.org, and on their symbol it's a rat.
As you do. Let's see what we've got here.
If you're looking for news stories, I was going to bring up a Matt Christensen video I saw this week.
Go
I've
on.
seen it anywhere else, but I don't know if you can follow him on YouTube. He makes sort of political videos. He's an American. And he made a video covering Ilhan Omar. I think you probably remember her from a few months ago, when she clashed with Trump.
Did you just call her Ilhan Omaha?
Oh?
No, that's all. Ilhan Omar, and I heard Omaha, and I was like, that's an interest.
Anyway,
yeah, sorry, go on.
married to someone who she was hiring as a political consultant, and there's a expense sort of scandal going on where it seems like she might have been financing her dates with him.
Yeah, and it was something like 50% of all her funding went to the company that he operated. Yeah. As a campaign advisor. Obviously, there's every chance, of course, that it was just a love that blossomed because they worked so closely. But I mean, does anyone really believe that? No.
Possible, but no.
But no, I don't think so. Sorry, what are you saying? Karen? Anything? Nope. Okay. So the last kind of I haven't seen anything by Matt Christensen, but I don't particularly follow him, unfortunately. But I do have one last article to cover for this evening. It just doesn't feel the same here without Britisher, so we shall run. Sorry.
Do you want me to do an impression?
You could just. Can you take on the pith? We shall run.
It's just like how the Romans would.
Just. Well, Pyrrhus of Epirus would do such and such. Epirus, I should say. So equity, which is the race equality. No, it's not. It's like an actors guild, effectively.
A weird name for an actors guild, in my opinion.
Yeah, but definitely committed to a social justice-y kind of agenda. It has a race equality committee, and they've all resigned. All because of Lawrence Fox. Because their union apologised for criticising Fox and reached an out-of-court settlement with him after he threatened to sue them for libel. Basically, they tweeted out something along the lines of, we call on everyone to, every actor, every acting, industry kind of connection to denounce Lawrence Fox after his terrible comments on BBC Question Time, which were, like an intolerant, intolerant tirade, this populist nonsense that victimized a woman of colour who was calling his experiences irrelevant because he was a white privileged male, if I remember correctly. Yes. He obviously, as we all know from that Question Time interview, insisted that press criticism of Meghan Markle and her decision to leave with her husband, Harry, not Prince Harry anymore, just Harry, to leave the country and abscond from their royal duties was rooted in racism. Basically, he disagreed with that. And Equity were not very happy about this. And he said, we're the most tolerant, we're the most lovely country in Europe. It's so easy to throw the racism card at everybody, and it's starting to get boring now, which I think gained him a degree of followership on Twitter. But yes, the minority representatives of the Actors Union made a series of accusations on Twitter against Fox, saying he wanted to berate and bully women of colour attempting to discuss issues of race and gender discrimination. But it wasn't discussion, was it? It was her dictating to him and telling him that he wasn't allowed an opinion. Any thoughts? No. Okay. We may have lost everyone at this point, who knows. They also said Fox had been playing to the gallery, populist tirade, yes, women of colour being used as cannon fodder, and he occupied a highly advantaged position while trying to damn any recognition of that privilege as the very racism he claims is exaggerated when people of colour try to discuss it. I'm sorry, but telling me that because I'm white, I couldn't possibly understand, I couldn't possibly have the data, I couldn't possibly conceive of an experience outside my own, I find to be, kind of systematically racist of them, as opposed to the other way around, definitely. So it was quite nice of them to get their comeuppance. So the Actors Union said, we're sorry that in the tweets he was called a disgrace by Equity. It was a mistake by Equity as an organisation to criticise him in this way. Nothing in Equity's later statement was intended as a slur on his character or views, or to suggest he should be denied the ability to work. We would like to make that clear. Equity and Lawrence Fox condemn prejudice unequivocally in all its forms. And it does just scream a little bit of just a like a forced statement. It's like Equity and Lawrence Fox condemn prejudice unequivocally in all its forms, and it's just like a lawyer with a gun to the back of the Equity spokesperson's head, just going, yes, that's right, apologise. Or perhaps it's like that Jesse Jackson scene in South Park, where Randy comes in and he's like, kiss it, as he presents his bare ass to Randy and says, that's right, apologise. There was no financial compensation, which is, I think it was good of him to take. He can't be accused of grifting for money, in all that stuff. And then, of course, he has taken this with the best of intention and has just said thank you effectively. I think he put a prayer emoji up on Twitter, and that was that. But it's good to see that some positive news came out of the whole Lawrence Fox saga, if in effect. Yes, people are saying Discord has disconnected. I am aware. There's not much I can really do any more about this, I guess, except to really bring the stream to a close. Unfortunately, a little bit early for this week. I will just... I don't think we have any more super chats which have come through. Unfortunately, Fake Accents is just not Fake Accents without its guests. So very warm thank you to the Britisher, to Current Commentator, and to Poe for coming on for the period by which Discord allowed. But I hope that you all have a pleasant week. We may have another stream later on in the week to kind of compensate you for the shortness of this one. Perhaps Red Dwarf Appreciation stream, if I can make it happen, should be around in the latter half of the week. But fingers crossed, I will keep you updated. Follow me on Twitter. Please subscribe to the channel, like the stream, and we'll catch you next time. Have a great week. Take care.